Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am the Amateur, where we're here just to talk life, politics, hobbies, ideologies, what have you. I'm not necessarily professional in any way, shape, or form, but we're here just to have a conversation. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking ideology, especially as it pertains to the transgender ideology and the nonsense that it is currently. It's going to be a lot. So first, just kind of start off with to say what gender is supposed to be and then what it's devolved to. So I want to say starting off in 1955 with John Money. He is the person who coined gender as something separate from sex, because prior to 1955, sex and gender were more or less the same thing, and it was about sex, male or female. That was an observation of the world, that there was male or there was female. Okay, but he did an experiment on, I want to say it's the Raymer twins, but either way, so one of the twins had a botched circumcision because the doctor did it with a I wouldn't say a non-conventional means for the circumcision, and ended up burning off the poor young man's penis. And so this John Money took this opportunity to say, like, let's experiment on your child and see if he can actually just be raised up as a male or as a female. He's not going to know the difference, and obviously there's some ethical problems here, but essentially he called his study a success. I think later on down the lines, both of the twins ended up killing themselves after being told what was done to them poorly. And so this is the man who coined gender, and you can look this up. Might show it's like a screenshot, just like a basic Google search on the origins of gender studies and gender theory. John Money, this is the man, and this is the case that leapfrogged into everything that we have today. So just kind of going back again, the Bible says truth, and you can go watch my video on the question that atheists still can't answer. Had some pretty heated, I won't say heated, but pretty decent comments in the comment section. But yeah, so go take a look at that. But pretty much the Bible says truth, and the truth is in accordance with the reality. So the Bible says that there's man and woman, and if you don't have to believe the Bible for it to be true, because it's true, if that makes any sense. But anyway, religion aside, what we as humans have observed about the world, and especially within the mammalian species, that there is male and there is female, and the male is the one that typically gives, and the female is the one that carries a child. And I think the only exception would be with the platypus. I've also realized that there's typically always an exception. So keep that in mind, an escape, if you want to say. But for the most part, with all mammals, it's male and female. And that's been observed, and we've given a name to that for the human species as man and woman. And then it also goes with different ages, boy, girl, grandma, grandpa. Like, these are gendered languages, or gendered words, if you want to say. But in chicken, you have a cockerel and a hen. You have deer, buck, and doe. You have bull and cow, or heifer. I don't know. I can't remember. Point of the matter, though, is that this isn't the only species that we've decided to have a specific name for all those that are male and all those that are female. And a doctor, when they help birth a child, they're not assigning a sex. They're making an observation of what the sex is. And for the most part, it's going to be either male or female very, very clearly, just based off the genitals alone. And then you have a thing with intersex, where intersex is a male or a female with a genetic deficiency. That's not a new sex category, because that's not how sex works. Like, sex is based off the interactions that the two have with each other in sexual intercourse, like the two sexes coming together. Like, there's a whole video, I want to say Freedom Tunes made it, but...
Asking? I thought sex was defined as that procreative act between a man and woman, and that we label people male or female because their role in this act, or their sex, affects their role within the family and thus society, given that both institutions are literally built atop the sexual act. And isn't this a concrete fact which is totally unthreatened by some people's subjective view of themselves as being assigned the wrong gender? And to that I say, shut up!
point of the matter, though, is that that's what sex is. Like, sex is a biological reality. I don't even have to say biological. There's only one way to be male and only one way to be female. And so with the transgender ideology, what we'll see is, well, hold on, let me go back. So we have the definitions now that man is an adult male human, woman is adult female human. And I've said it in previous videos that that's not the only thing that makes a woman, but it does have to start there. It has to start with that female characteristic before you can get into the human characteristics that go along with the female. Like, you can't separate the two or else you lose the word. And so that's where the origin of that word was defined. And so now with again, going back to John Money and the expansion of gender theory, which again, there's two ways that you can look at it, which is that gender and sex are the same thing, and there's only two sexes. There is male and there's female, and then with intersex there are male and females with genetic disorders or genetic deficiencies, but that doesn't just eliminate male and female as the rule. And then with John Money wanting to separate gender from sex, you still can't completely eliminate the sex from the gender, or else again the gender has no meaning. So what our understanding of what everyone nowadays is trying to explain is that gender is based off femininity and masculinity, where femininity is related to femaleness, again to the sex, and masculinity is related to maleness. So this is again where you'll have things that are, where femininity is things that are typically associated with females, with women, and with masculinity is things that are typically associated with men. And those, and again, not to discredit their theory, but like, yes, those can be fluid. There are going to be men who have more feminine qualities, and there are going to be women that tend to have more masculine qualities, but that doesn't negate them being a woman. It just means that on that level, that means that gender is a spectrum, but that has nothing to do with the physical characteristics of your body. And you see this, I think a lot of, at least in previous history, is like that was kind of the whole shtick of like drag queens and cross-dressers, is that they understood that they were male, they understood that they were men, and they were taking the things that were associated with females, associated with women, and put that on the likeness of a man, but that didn't make them a woman. And so, especially nowadays, where it used to be like, there used to be the whole push like dolls can be for boys and trucks can be for girls and all this other stuff, and it's like, sure, that's fine and dandy, but now we're at a point, well, my boy likes Barbie dolls, so he must be a girl, and that kind of defeats and like goes back to those gender stereotypes that they're so adamant about trying to avoid. And so, like, you'll see this in every single, I would say, conservative debate, or any debate of conservative speakers talking about gender. Like, when you ask what is a woman without referencing the woman itself, no one can answer the question, or no one on the leftist transgender ideology can rightly answer the question, because you now have people devolving into this, well, trans women are women. It's like, no, they're not. Trans women are trans women. Women are women. Like, that's like, what this is, it's just mind-boggling that this is something that we have to debate. And so there's two very prominent YouTubers, and for the purpose of this video, I'll be relating to both of them as she, because that's what they present as, though I know that he would be the technically correct pronoun for them, because he is based off male. But they're presenting as female. When you first see them, you would think female, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use she. But you have a YouTube creator, Samantha Lux, I believe, and Blair White, and they're both pretty prominent, but I think, Blair White gets a lot of crap of it. Like, I don't agree with everything that she says, and she gets a lot of crap from the LGBTQ community as well for having a little bit more conservative talking points, but she's always been called out for gatekeeping the transgender. But it's like, yes, that's the point of gatekeeping. I guess depending on how you're defining it, but I say gatekeeping is understanding the terms and keeping to the terms. So it's just like understanding that what does it actually mean to be transgendered, and for Blair, that's having gone under, I want to say the old DSM-5, which is was it the APA, the American Psychology Association, excuse me, what they use in order to understand psychological disorders. Gender dysphoria and transgenderism like used to be there, as far as there needed to be a long, I want to say it was like 2 years, to sit down with someone who had trans thoughts, who had that gender or body dysmorphia, unable to connect that their brain to their body, like understanding that there was this feeling of disconnect, that their physical body, because we understand that you can wear pink nails, you can have long hair, you can wear all the makeup, and you can present femininely, but that doesn't necessarily stop the dysmorphia, if that makes any sense. Or you can do that without being trans or whatever. The point of the matter, though, still say point of the matter, but point of the matter, though, is that Blair understands that she is male, and that it's a very big decision, especially going on hormones, especially if someone decides to do sex reassignment surgery, which again is like not a real thing because you can't do that. But you know, it's body mutilation, honestly. But understands that those are very, very big decisions, and that they may or may not lead to the results that one may expect. And so especially when it comes to kids, to be a lot more wary and hesitant of pushing that on. The point of the matter, though, she still thinks that needs to be like a medical disorder, like a disorder. And it's not to be negative about it, but it's just understanding that people have different psychological disconnects to reality, and it's not to degrade or negate anyone who is transgender or does have that body dysmorphia, but you can't go around treating it like it's just a whim of the mind, and one day I feel like wearing dress and dressing up girly, and that makes me a woman, and then the other day I'm going to dress super butch and manly, and that's going to make me a man. Like, that's not how that works. It's not how reality works. And so no matter how hard they try to push that. And so as far as with Samantha looks, it's like I don't really listen to her much. I don't really listen to her much. I don't really find her talking points conducive for anything. But again, like, I don't listen to her, so don't take anything with a grain of salt. But the point of matter of bringing those two transgender up is just the understanding, like there's a whole array of how the transgender ideology like plays out, and then just even within the community, how different and separate, like they don't even understand or don't have a firm agreement of what it actually means to be trans. Because you can be trans, and you can just, I'm a trans man now because I've said I'm a trans man, because now I say that I identify as a man. I didn't change anything. I didn't take any hormones. I'm a trans man, and you have to accept that because I've said it about myself. And I want to say there's another YouTuber that did that.
You actually accurately
I'm a
states.
featured guest at the Deplorable.
I know that you are. You're actually the only woman who's actually featured. Because guess what? It's a bunch of dudes. And I do not appreciate that.
Did you just call me a woman? I'm legally a man.
Are you?
Yes.
That's beside the point. So that's just kind of the thing there. But I'm going to play a series of videos. TikTok, obviously, is the birth of poison. And I have a TikTok, so it's like whatever. And these are some of the videos that I found that are going to set the scene for my later qualms.
Hey guys, let's talk gender, specifically Libra genders. Firstly, know the difference between a static or a stable gender, one that doesn't change, and a fluid gender, one that does change. Now, Libra genders. Libra gender people feel mostly agender with a slight connection to another gender. Firstly, Libra feminine, and I do want you guys to keep in mind for the rest of the video that there is another black line down there. Feminine people feel mostly agender and slightly feminine. I describe it as feeling a strong connection to agender as well as a lesser connection to femininity. Libra masculine is the opposite, where someone feels. Guys, let's talk sexuality, specifically asexual, demisexual, and cupiosexual. Asexual people don't experience sexual attraction. Some ace people are touch and sex repulsed, while others just don't experience or understand sexual attraction. Asexual people can still be in happy, healthy, functioning romantic relationships as they still feel romantic attraction, just not sexual attraction, not to be mistaken with ace arrow.
I am a demisexual. Do you know what that is? Demisexual people only feel sexually attracted to someone when they have an emotional bond with that person. What it is for me, I always felt out of place, especially in this generation. Not
People, but I guess I could be attracted to anyone. So hypothetically, yes. Okay, so are you straight, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, or pan? Yes. That is not a friggin' answer. No, I am. Yes, correct. You have to choose. No, I am all of them. But I am all of them. And also none of them. That doesn't make sense.
And hopefully what you see with all these videos is that the LGBTQ plus alphabet mafia, whatever, they can make up all these sexualities, they can make up all these genders, but they can't make up a new word to compensate people who present themselves femininely and people who present themselves masculinely. Like, what I don't understand, I mean, I do understand, but I want for them, it's like for them to answer is, why do y'all have to commandeer a word that has already been created and understood? So again, like, woman has already been created and understood to be adult human or adult female human. Men has already been understood as adult male human. Like, why are you trying to take a word and redefine it to fit your ideology when we know that's, you can't, deconstructing the word and taking away doesn't help anyone, it just creates more confusion. And also, not to mention how, and I think also Michael Knowles says this about changing words, changing minds, and you'll see this just as far as trying to change the construct of reality. But like, even just saying cis woman, like, there's either you're a woman or you're not. There's no need to say cis in front of anything, because like, a woman is a woman. And that also gets me to the point of being, was it the word TERF, a trans exclusionary radical feminist, which, ugh, I don't want to be associated with the word feminist, but even then, that's not even an accurate word, because the supposed trans exclusionary feminists would also include trans men as being women. So it's just like, they're trying to deconstruct the foundations of our definitions and not provide a replacement. So it's just a whole bunch of nonsense. Well, so like, one thing that I've suggested is, like, instead of trying to say trans women are women, because they're not, they're trans women and they're trans woman, like, just say a feminoid. A feminoid is any person, male or female, who tries to present themselves as femininely as possible. A masculoid is anyone, male or female, who tries to present themselves as masculinely as possible, instead of trying to encroach again on something that already exists and trying to deconstruct and take away all these already gendered words that exist, that you can't run away from the sex and the sex basis. Like, mothers are the only ones who can give birth. Like, whether you identify quote unquote with the mother or not is irrelevant, because it's not a word that's based on your identity. It's based on what is. So those are my points a bit to pick on that. Like, there's no disrespect to there for any of the videos that you see. Don't like go back to TikToks and try to pick on them and make mean comments underneath it. But it's just a matter of taking emotions out of it, understanding what the problem is, and being able to have a discussion to move forward from it. So that's my thoughts. Like, instead of trying to destroy and take away a word that already exists, why can't the transgendered personnel and the LGBT community create a new word? Like, they've been doing this, they've been creating all these new sexualities, but they can't let a woman be a woman and a man be a man. But what do I know? I'm just an amateur. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm definitely interested to know if y'all have any thoughts on this. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.